I just hit record, and we'll post the recording after we're done. So you'll see those on our YouTube channel or Facebook channel, in sequence sessions 1 through, this is now session 4, we're coming up at the end of week 1. So I would love to kind of pause here real quick and hear from all of you that have been with us every day. What are you guys taking away from so far? What are you taking back and incorporating in your business? And what are you being awakened to in command that you didn't realize?
I guess I can say I'm starting to get a lot more organized, which I knew I needed to do. I just needed the refresher on how to do it.
Organization is key, right?
Absolutely.
And I know Wendy will be happy to hear that you said that.
I knew that there was a lot that I didn't know about command, and this is just kind of confirming how much it's developed and how useful it's really going to be.
Right, and this is coming from somebody who's been with us a little while, right? You were here when we rolled out command initially, right? So
I was, and I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose.
And now you've also seen how far it's come in its capabilities, right? And
it's
how it
come a long way. A lot of rough edges have been sanded off, and a lot of refinement has happened, as well as giant steps forward.
It's truly a tool now that the majority of the agents, unless you're mega huge, right? It's going to do just about everything you need it to do in your business, right? There's really no doubt about it at this point. And myself and our Market Center tech trainers and your PC coaches are your coaches, your technology coaches, if you will, right? And a lot of times when we talk about business, it's not just how to use the tool, it's how it applies to your business. And that's the biggest differentiator for a lot of people, is understanding that they're running a business, right? They're business owners and entrepreneurs, as you all are. And this is leverage for your business. And the better you can utilize it, the better you understand it, the easier the day-to-day aspects working with your consumers, being in production, will be for you. Who else is up to one more? I need one more.
I got here a little late. What are we talking about?
I just need an aha. Ted, I'll sit here all day till I get my ahas.
From family reunion?
I'm training this week. Come on, Sam.
Look, obviously I'm just getting it together today because I'm just on my way to work. So
what have you learned this week? Joyce, Sam, Iris, Barbara, Alyssa.
I'm trying to think what we were talking about on Tuesday.
Joyce is just like, I'm not talking. Not happening. Not opening up my mouth. I may laugh, but
I will.
There we go.
Well, first of all, David, I want to say how I have really enjoyed the last few sessions that I've had, and you're a wonderful teacher. And so thank you. That's what I like to first say. And also smart plans. I really enjoyed the class on smart plans, and really beginning to grasp and understand how beneficial they can be to my business and communicating with my clients. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Joyce wins. I'm just saying, Joyce wins today. Look, I know how I am, and I engage very differently than a lot of instructors, right? I thrive on engagement. If I don't get the feedback, my classes can run very dry very quickly. So I do need you guys' engagement. Plus, it reaffirms that you guys are hearing me. And I know it's hard sitting at home in front of your computers all day. No, you're getting out a little bit more and about that this is hard. And as Reba said, you are drinking from a fire hose, not just from technology, but from business too, right? Incredibly hot markets and all kinds of things going on. But showing up and doing, those are big things. So thank you for a lot of you that have been on multiple calls. I appreciate you. So let's go ahead. Let's jump in today. Today we're going to talk about opportunities. Okay, opportunities is what I like to call essentially your digital whiteboard. Is everybody? I'm going to make sure we're seeing. Is everybody seeing my slide? Okay. Am I screen sharing? I don't know if I am. I might turn it off.
No,
You're not screen sharing.
All right. Let's turn that back on. How about now?
There you go.
All right, so we are back on the board. All right, so today, opportunities, what I like to call your digital whiteboard. Who has whiteboards in their office? Anybody? All right, I see right behind Ted there, right? So whiteboards are good because we look at them and they're constant reminders. However, they're messy, they're dirty, and they're not really as accurate as we like to think that they are, unless we're updating them every single day. And then we get all that marker on our hand or our shirts. Ted's nice sweater probably drags some black marker up and down his sleeves, right? Think of opportunities as your digital whiteboard, your production, your pipeline, what's going on in your business. And it's very easy to automate and look at in multiple different aspects because you can't filter that whiteboard on your wall, right? So that's a lot of things that happens. And where is the value? We talked about the value of your database, right? Well, the pipeline, the opportunities themselves total themselves up. So they will actually give you insight and should be a driving factor inside of you, inertly driving you because you see a dollar amount at the end of the day going, I need that in my bank account. Now you're going to see what the potential value of all those conversations and all those opportunities that you have with people, they're going to be sitting right there in front of you. The question is, how quickly can you get there to capture that? That's what opportunities are going to provide an insight to you to have, okay? All right, so let's go to the next page. So your digital whiteboard, when do you, this is open, so I want you guys to answer this. When should you create an opportunity?
I would say as soon as you've identified it.
As soon as you've identified it, okay? So what would lead you to identify that there's an opportunity in front of me? What,
So
and this
you've
is different for everybody, but what for Peter, what do you say, okay, this is an opportunity. I have a chance to do something with this person.
So I would, when I have a conversation with a contact and a substantive discussion, identify, what their clear objectives are, then I set that up, obviously with the contact, but also to create the opportunity so you can track it from the get-go.
Bingo. You said that right there. A substantive conversation about doing something in real estate, right? That does not mean I'm under contract and may not even had an appointment with them. So you're in what we call cultivate. There are 5 phases of an opportunity, right? Cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, then closed. They're the same for everybody. A lot of agents miss, for lack of a better term, the opportunity to track their business early on enough, right? They wait till they're written contract. And unfortunately for a lot of people, that it's till they actually ratify the contract and not even a buyer broker agreement at that point, which is a contract, right? But when you have a substantive conversation, lots of you might meet somebody at an open house or in a grocery store, right? About, hey, yeah, I'm looking to buy, look and sell. Well, that might not be a substantive conversation, but you follow up. You start to talk about what it might look like, get an understanding, as Peter referenced, about what their wants, needs, or desires are in real estate. That's cultivating that relationship. What am I going to do next to meet with them, to then maybe get them under contract? That's when you should create your first opportunity, because that starts your journey for them, which could be 12, 18, 20. I've had people in my database for 4 years before they finally say, I'm ready to go. That's okay. But I've been in front of them that whole time. Reminders, alerts, saved searches, phone calls, invites, messages, sometimes cookie recipes, right? I joke about them, but they were there at one point in time for me in my business. So what you do matters. And I wrote this down for family reunion, how persistently consistent, I love that, how persistently consistent are you in your follow-up, right? Jason Abrams talks about the lead gen. You've got lead gen, you've got follow-up, and you've got transaction, which is very short. That follow-up is that largest window of time after you meet somebody before they get actively hyper engaged to do something in real estate. And how deliberate, how persistent, how consistent you are in that period of time really, truly matters. Because believe it or not, your own family members or friends, at some point in time in your life, you may experience this, they will work with another realtor. Don't take it personal. It happens. It's happened to me. And what I want you to do when that does happen is try to understand why. Don't take it personal. Were you the first person they thought of when it came to doing something in real estate? If not, where did you go wrong? Usually, and this is my dad's favorite word, you made an assumption. You know what happens when you assume? Peter, you're laughing because you've heard this one before. You may have said
Only
it
a
to
couple of
your kid,
times.
right? You cannot assume somebody's going to do business with you. You just can't. You have to be deliberate. I have lost business because I walked into appointments with people that are my golf buddies, and I went off script and I didn't take it seriously. And I didn't give them the information they were looking for from me. And somebody stepped in and took the deal from me. I'm real about my failures in my business, and I want to share those with you. You've got to be deliberate. You've got to be specific, and you can never assume. Understanding where you are with each and every person in your database, once you've established that relationship, is truly important. That's what opportunities allow you to do. So once you have a substantive conversation, and I'm glad that Peter took that word off the screen for me and invoked it into his definition, but that's where you need to be in your mindset, okay? And then you got to custom and figure. Now, everybody's business is a little bit different. However, there are certain steps that you all take, and inside the Facebook group, okay, Ted, if you would grab this link for me and share it inside the chat. Inside our Facebook group for the region, there's a files folder. Inside the files folder, I have an opportunity checklist for buyers and listings. It tells you what to do at different stages, from follow up to adding to smart plans to calling for sign up, miss utility, whatever that might look like in your business, as a great starting point for you guys to build checklists inside of opportunities around your business. I want you to have something, a takeaway that you can start building from, because a lot of you, if you're newish, don't know where to start and what those next steps are. So I'm trying to help you. Your productivity coaches, if you're in market centers, they will help you. But that's a valuable document. I didn't create it. I ripped off and copied it from somebody else, which is a great thing about what we do in our world. But it's there, and Ted's going to share that link into the Facebook group. So inside of opportunities, you have checklists, you have stages, and then we have what are called client updates. So phases are the same for everybody. Cultivate, right? Under appointment, under contract, active under contract to close. Now, under those phases, you might have different stages of that relationship. And underneath those stages, you might have checklists of things that you need to do to move them along your pipeline. Okay, we'll talk about that. And the nice thing is, as you do certain things in your business, and it's usually a little bit further along the line, right? When you do things, and for those of you in business a little bit while, you'll understand this. When you start to get engaged more regularly with an active client, right? So there are things you do, especially if you're taking a listing. You have to order photography, you got to order sign up, you got to maybe call Miss Utility, you got to call principal photography and videography, and all these things have to start happening. And what do you do at the end of the day when you've done those things? And what do you do after you've done all those things? Do you notify the client that those things were done? Right. And so you craft an email, and that email is usually different. Well, in the system, you can have what are called client updates. And when you check off certain things that have been completed that you've determined are important for the client to know, they'll receive an email saying, hey, Tiffany did these things on your behalf today. It's pretty sweet, right? Anyway, so in order for that to work, you've got to have your command email configured. So we talked about that setups yesterday. So we're gonna speed through that. Command email needs to be configured for those automatic triggers to happen. All right, so let's take a jump into your digital whiteboard, your command opportunity. So I'm gonna bring that up on the screen here. 1 second to log in. All right, so on the left-hand side, we're going to go to opportunities. So opportunities, this is your opportunities dashboard. And I'll give you kind of a quick walking tour of what you're seeing here. It's separated out by listings, buyers, and leases. Common sense, straightforward. And then you see those phases that I talked about: cultivate, appointment, active under contract, and closed. At the end of that, you see potential income and probable income. That's that dollar figure that I talked about. So every time you create a listing, opportunity, buyer opportunity, lease opportunity, and say, I'm going to take a $500,000 listing. I expect to get paid 3% commission on that deal, 3% of the deal. That's equivalent of $15,000 of potential income. Easy math, right? That's what would show up over here in potential income. Right below that, you see what's called probable income. Well, in our world, there's only $2 amounts you get paid in a transaction. Anybody know what those are? It's either all of it or none of it, right?
Oh.
You only earn that commission when you close. There's no, well, I got us almost there, right? So this probable income doesn't really exist in real dollars, right? But of that $15,000, depending on where they are in my pipeline, the system will configure based off of numbers you feed it at first, and over later it'll become more intuitive that as I move people along, maybe at the beginning I cultivate stage, maybe I have 10% chance of getting them to close. So that probable income of that 15,000 will show as $1,500. And then when I move them to active, maybe that jumps to 50%. So maybe now I'm at $7,500. So you're narrowing the gap between potential income and probable income. You're gaining the system. You're driving yourself forward. Those two numbers will never meet because you should always have a number of opportunities that are in development. So they'll never actually be one-to-one relationship. But I just want you to know that's what you're seeing here on the end is your total value and where you are in that relationship of moving people along. All right. So below here, also what you're going to see are activities, your conversion ratios, percentages of listings, buyers, and leases, what you're doing on a month-to-month basis down here at the bottom, and what closed. Important to note, here at the top where you see closed, this, for all intents and purposes, is a running total of everything in your digital pipeline. And then when you close a transaction, you're closing it in a particular period of time or a month, right? What happens at the end of every month for our market centers? Does anybody know? We close our books. We don't close our books at the end of the year. We close our books every month. So we're actually profitable at the end of every month. And that's where profit share comes from. And that's why they're distributed every month, because we know how profitable each of the offices are every month. And it's how they distribute those funds. So this number, after the end of the month, you may have closed a transaction this month or last month. This will reset to zero for the following month. And then those closed transactions will be under what we call all opportunities. So this is a running total of everything that's active in a given month. The following month, everything else will stay except for closed. That drops off. Closed transactions are a month in time, not a running total of all your closed transactions. You will see all those under what we call all opportunities. So just I get that call a lot. Hey, I had some closings last month and they're gone. They're not gone. They're just not on this display screen anymore. Fair to understand?
Okay.
Under all opportunities, you will see all of your opportunities, okay? Listings, buyer. This looks more like that whiteboard display that you are currently used to, right? Type, name, address, phase, like where are they in the price process, volume, commissions, close date if it closed, right? And I could change this by how many opportunities I have. I could filter through that. The cool thing is here, if you remember back to Tuesday's class on contacts, it's contacts. When we talked about smart views, filtering your database, you can filter your opportunities and create smart views here too. So once you get to the point where you're off the screen, which is going to happen for all of you, right? Because you're going to have so many opportunities, right? That you can actually create an opportunities filter, right? You'll choose your market center. You'll say, hey, show me all my listings. And maybe you bundle them all that are either active, that are maybe active, under contract, or pending, or closed. Or maybe just show me all my closed opportunities. Now I'm in a demo account, so there's not a whole lot of data here. Then you click apply, then that list will change and only show you what you asked to see. The next thing is what's cool is that you go into this opportunities tab here and you create this as a smart view, just like you created a smart filter for filtering your contacts. Save. Maybe you create one for listings, maybe you create one for buyers, maybe you create one that's just for closed. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's specific to you and your business. It gives you that functional customization to do whatever you needed to do. So now you'll have multiple smart views here. That might be listings, might be buyers, might be closings. How do you want to see? How do you want to have insight into those opportunities? Pretty straightforward, right? You could filter by these up and down arrows, just like the nice thing about this is that it functions a lot like the context. So there's nothing new to learn here. It's intuitive that way. You can archive an opportunity. So there's two types of things that happen. Like either the opportunity closes, so there's three types, I guess. They either close, I can archive it, or it's a lost opportunity. And there is a difference because you have to be honest with yourself, okay? So this Barney listing that I have here, okay? If I went in and I just did a dummy test account, because I'm practicing, as you all should, okay? It's affecting my numbers in a way that aren't true. So once I get more stuff in there, I might want to archive it, thus then be able to delete it. So it doesn't affect my numbers, okay? Or maybe Barney had a job change and they decided, you know what, I'm not gonna buy right now, but maybe let's put it off 12 months. So maybe I archive that opportunity to reinstitute it at a later date. On the flip side, if I actually go into the Barney opportunity, I have this lost opportunity toggle, okay? Lost opportunity is different. This is you having to be honest with yourself. There is no lost opportunity, please, to tell you they're wrong, but it's knowing your numbers at the end of the day or end of the year, okay? If you went through and said, hey, this person is now cultivate or active or wherever they are, and you started moving them or not, but you established a relationship and said, yes, I'm going to buy something. So therefore, Peter, you triggered that it was substantive enough for you to create an opportunity, right? But at some point in time, whether they're still a cultivator or not, does not matter. They reach back out to you and they say, you know what? My cousin Sal just got his license from Acme Real Estate last week. I'm going to go work with him. You're not under contract, but is that a lost opportunity? That's a question.
Yes.
There you go. The answer is yes. Do some people just archive that because they're, no, I'm challenging you to be honest with yourself. At any point, if you went through the creation of an opportunity and they don't close, then it's a lost opportunity for all intents and purposes, right? Unless you might want to archive them if they said, hey, we're going to wait. And then at some period of time, you're either going to have to determine it's lost because they're gone or bring it back. So just be honest to yourself and your numbers, okay? So that's lost opportunity versus active opportunities. Let's go back to the opportunities dashboard here. So now on this page, there are two places you can create an opportunity, okay? One is from the opportunities dashboard that we see here, where we are, okay? The other is directly from a contact. And a lot of times it's where you may be. You may actually be in a contact record, updating some things prior to getting ready, right? So if I actually go into Charlie Brown here, on my contact record, I see an opportunities tab. So I go into opportunities, create opportunity, and then it'll start to pull some of that information directly in from his contact record. The only difference here and creating from the opportunity screen is on the opportunity screen, I would have to tell it to go find Charlie Brown's contact record. Since I'm already in Charlie Brown's contact record, it's going to pull that in, okay? And maybe in this particular case, you'll see that they have related contacts. Remember we attached contacts on their spouse, on their contact record, on contact says. So when I click co-seller, I'll see those connections. There's a little redhead girl. And I said that they were married, right? That's kind of what I did with in the Peanuts universe here. So then the name of the opportunity defaults. Now, I'm going to point something out here. Do you notice how this says listing? Now I said, I don't know if I actually did say if we were going to represent buy or sell here for Charlie. You have to choose. Now it defaults to listing, which I do not like because agents rush. Don't take it personally, but you're all in a rush. I know it because I was always in a rush. You create an opportunity wrong, you have to start over. There's no changing buyer to listing or listing to buyer or lease or et cetera. You have to, in that case, you would archive it, right? You wouldn't be lost. You would archive it and start anew. But you cannot bounce from one to the other. So take your time and be deliberate when you're choosing your opportunity type because it matters, okay? No matter where it falls in your opportunity recording table. Listings will always be last name, listing, right? I recommend that you change that listing opportunity name to the property address. If you're working with a buyer, I leave it as the buyer's name, buyer, until I ratify a contract, and then I change it to the property address. Makes it easier for me and my market center to filter through opportunities based on address, because that's typically how they're going to sort for things. It's just my personal recommendation. I would tell you that most people don't always follow my recommendations. Right, Ted? Now, you also have the ability for tags here. These tags are different than your contact tags. You can actually have opportunity tags too. So when you go back to your settings page, you'll see they're two different things, because you might tag things differently in your opportunity. You might tag it to a specific referral. You may tag it to a specific open house that you did. You may also tag it to Facebook because it came from Facebook or some other lead. They may be one and the same, but there's difference for tracking where your contacts came from, because not all contacts have closed or done anything yet. So there's those tags and filters. But then there's all the opportunities, so you can filter through those too. So just understand that they are different, although you may have some that mirror each other, right? I wouldn't have any daily 2 custom tags for opportunities. They would be more relationship or driven to where the actual opportunity came from. So just so maybe it was a specific neighborhood or farm or whatever that looked like, because you're tracking production based off of, are you the local area expert? A lot of things you can get out of that information by thinking it through. Then you're going to put in an estimated close date, right? We'll put them at the end of March. All right, we'll put in estimated listing price for their property at 7.25. I happen to take 3%. Be honest with yourself. If you're only taking 2.5, 2.75, put the true number in here, because that's that dollar amount that's going to calculate. It's not going to change anything up. You're just being honest with yourself. Same thing if you're a buyer, right? We know the buyer's market, and you're not always getting 3%. So maybe you're on average getting 2.75. Just be honest with your own numbers. That's all I can say there. At the bottom it says where are they at in the opportunity phase, right? You can only choose cultivate, appointment, or active. I can't drop them into under contract or close. You can't, because you should be well before that. So we're telling you, hey, here's where you start. Okay. So let's go say, hey, we're in the, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to have an appointment with Charlie, and I'm scheduling the appointment. I haven't scheduled it yet, but I'm in the process of setting up a time to meet with them. Then I click create. And what you're going to see on this contact record is that, hey, there's an opportunity now that now exists. And if I actually jump to opportunities, what I'll see in that display under cultivate, or not put them under appointment, sorry, is that I'll have the dollar amount, and the days on market, or how long have I been nurturing that relationship. That's going to show right here. Okay. Now, inside of that opportunity, if I go into it, there's a couple ways I could access it from the contact record, but I see these tiles. The tiles are how we move things forward. So now let's just fast forward this relationship a little bit. You see here, I put in a percentage of 10%. I'm going to show you how to edit those things. But I could actually drag these tiles. Let's say that I had that appointment with Charlie. I now kept it. And then now Charlie signed some paperwork with me. So now Charlie's active. So I can drag it up into active, right? So he's gone from the appointment phase, he's now into the active phase. And I've got these different stages. And I literally just can kind of drag them on. So now we're staging the property. Now we're showing the property. Just different examples of what stages might look like. On his contact card, I don't have any examples in here at the moment. I see the 0 out of 0 down here at the bottom. That's where your checklist would be. I didn't build any into this demo account. I'm going to show you how. This is where the check. So what do I need to do at each stage, right? If I'm active and I'm staging, one of those activities would probably be for me to bring in my stager. I bring in a stager for every listing, right? So that would be one of those things. It might be having their carpets cleaned. It may be having house cleaners come in. It may be having 1, 2, 3 junk come in to help them declutter their house, whatever that looks like, right? What is your checklist at your certain points in times? But moving this around is very easy. I also have the 3 dots here where I could archive that opportunity, as we previously discussed, and I can look at the view details. As you're moving through and as things are happening, you should update the details for the opportunity. Remember, you created it, you gave it some information, but as you move along, you want to put these dates in here. Okay. If I schedule an appointment, okay, I scheduled the appointment today, but the actual date maybe is on the 27th. The more information that you put in and you put these dates in, these dates are important because this will update your reporting structure and tracking, are you converting things? If I just move them from cultivate to appointment, it doesn't register anything. I have to put the dates in here. So you gotta track your dates. And if they move, then update the dates, right? So consistently update your process, and you'll see here the opportunity phase in the states, that automatically updated as I moved it across those tiles. So some things will fill in for you, some things will not, because there's no way for it to know dates. All right. And it may be at this point after my appointment, I decided to take a 5% listing instead of 6, so I'm getting 2.5% instead of 3. That Charlie Brown's a tough negotiator. All right. I'm going to go back to the opportunity. And you'll see that he's here now. And look at my potential, my probable incomes have changed based off of where it is and those percentages that I inputted around that listing. Now, I want to show you something. There's this little settings wheel. Okay, settings wheel will take you to your settings. This is where you will initially turn on what we call those client updates. Okay, so once a day, if you turn it on, which I recommend that you do, that an email will go out to your consumer and let them know the things that you did on their behalf today. Now, it does not send them everything that you check off in your checklist. It only checks off the things that you're going to see here in a minute that are stamped client updates, which means I want my client to know about it. Okay. So I have it set on my other account for 7 o'clock or 7:30 p.m. that an email goes out. It goes from me. Well, this is a demo. You would see agent, associate, or your name in this box. Okay. And then at the bottom, there's an email template that will go out. It says default. There's only one email. There will be others in the future. Right now, there's just one. But if you click on preview, you'll see what that email would actually look like. It's formatted. It'll have your logo, your name, your likeness. You cannot change this script at this point. It's defaulted. It'll have the property address associated with it. If it's a listing, if it's a buyer and you haven't ratified a contract or identified a property, the property address will show up here. Okay. This picture will not be a generic picture. If it's a listing or if it's a buyer contract that you've ratified and tied a listing to, it will actually pull the actual first photograph from the MLS listing. So this will be an actual picture of the house. Cannot change it. Will always be the first one from the listing. And then you'll see the checklist items that you completed for them today on their behalf. Nice, crisp, clean, formatted. Now, if it is a buyer and you haven't identified a listing yet, then there just won't be a picture here. It won't send a default or crappy picture. It'll just be the nice formatted text box without the photo. But this is the email that will go out at 7:30 every day when I have accomplished things for my particular client. They won't receive multiple emails each day. They'll receive just one of everything that I did. And it goes out to everybody that has an opportunity that you accomplished something for them on that day that has a checklist item turned on for their opportunity. Okay? Now, also with that, and I'm going to come back to opportunities, you have to be deliberate on the opportunities themselves. It is not auto set for every opportunity to send those client updates, right? You may have client updates engaged for the opportunity, but at the opportunity detail page, and I'll go into Charlie Brown's listing, the very top of the details page, I wish it was more prominent. It's just as where it is right now. There's client updates. I click on that and I actually have to toggle that on. Okay, that it says Charlie Brown, or who do I want it to go to? Okay, will receive an email with the checklist items that we did today. Now, you also have the ability to add a contact here. This comes in handy if you're working with a lender or a title company and you want them to also know where you are in the transaction. So you can add them as a contact to receive these particular updates if it's necessary for them. Okay. So it is important to know that just because you have updates engaged at the opportunity level and you have checklist items marked as updates, you have to turn on updates for every individual opportunity. Now, I will tell you what's going to happen soon. I know it's in development, is that looking at this contact card, there's going to be, that toggle will be moved here. So you'll actually be able to turn it on at the contact card versus having to go into details. So they're working on some future enhancements around that, but that's what's going to happen there. Now, I haven't showed you yet how to build out the actual checklist. Okay. So as we talked about, there are phases, and each phase has a stage, and each stage is where the checklists are. Think of it as like a Russian nesting doll, right? Kind of stacked up inside each other. So if I go into edit stages and I'm in the active stage, that's what's going to open up here, depending on where I am. And then when I click edit stage, that's what's going to open up. It'll know that, okay, I'm in the active stage or active phase, and here are the active stages associated with that. You have some defaults already in your platform, okay? You can add new. And if you look at that link that Ted gave you, under files on that page, you'll see a spreadsheet for listing and buyers, okay, that you can build out extra stages and extra checklists. So under the buying stage or showing stage, whatever, okay, I can now go in here and say, yep, I need to edit, I need to add some items. So, all right, so if I'm actively showing my house, actually, let me go back to staging. Actively staging the house, add item, schedule. I'm just gonna call it stager, but that would be like scheduling the stager, right? That's what I would do here. And if I check client update, that means it qualifies as something I need to let them know about, right? Then it might be call 123 junk. Well, that's maybe not something I want to notify them, but I'll hit save, add item, schedule carpets. Just giving you guys some examples, right? You guys kind of. All right. So now I've got some that are marked client update and some that are not. Okay. Save. Now, also to this right of staging, I see these percentages. If I go to the edit pencil, I can actually edit the stage itself, and I can change my profitabilities if you know your numbers. Those default numbers in here. And then if you've done enough business to know, hey, every time I stage or every time I get here, this is how much I close, then change your numbers. Now, over time, and I've heard different numbers of 25 closed transactions or 50 closed transactions, and depending on where they were moved from cultivate to closed, I don't have real clarity around this yet. But I do know this to be true, that the system will become self-aware. Think Teledyne systems, if you're a Terminator fan, right? It'll actually say, hey, you don't actually close 50% of everything that comes here. You actually close 42.6%, right? So the system over time becomes self-aware of what your actual numbers are. And it can only do that if you're honest with yourself and you do everything I just talked about, which is move things through, put actual dates in there, are true to your lost or archived or closed opportunities. Does that make sense? That's how you're true to your numbers, okay? All right, so let me go back out of here. Go back to the opportunities itself. I put staging, okay, opportunities. So now if I go back into that opportunity for Charlie, you'll see now that there are 3 checklist items are there. Now, what I did was I built a master checklist. So that would be the same. So any opportunity that I move to the staging checklist or staging stage will have those checklist items available to them. Now, if there was something, a one-off maybe that I needed to do, I could add that to Charlie. Because we know that that has to be done, okay? That changed the checklist item. It did not change the master checklist. It only updated the checklist items for this opportunity, right? It will not change the master. You have to be deliberate and go into add stages to change the master, but we all know there are one-off things that happen that we want to track. So you can add that as a checklist item inside that opportunity. Pretty cool, right? Now, also in those opportunities, if I look in those, I can set a due date. This will show up on your task list as things you need to do. Okay. And if you were on a team, okay, you can assign those tasks to members of your team. I'm in an individual agent account, so there's nothing to assign to anybody here. But if I was on a team, I could assign it to my transaction coordinator, my admin, my runner, whoever might be doing certain things in this capacity. Okay. All right. So just as a quick reminder, in order to build those master checklists, you have to go to the stage for that phase and build them under checklist. And as you build them in here, they will be there for every opportunity going forward. And if you add a checklist item to that opportunity, it only affects that unique opportunity. All right, coming back out, doing good on time here. So before I jump into more details, I just want to pause for a second. I don't know, Ted, is there anything in chat or how are we doing so far from opportunity creation from the contact record or from this screen, moving them and understanding where they are in the phases and the dollar amounts associated with them, updating them in real time and being true to your numbers, right? Lost versus archived. How's that working for everybody?
I'm loving the checklist thing. I had no idea that was even a thing.
I'm glad. Most people don't. And I will tell you, it's hard because you have to build them. I actually had, and I will tell you, I fight for my associates. I've been banging the drum to KWRI, and it's hard to provide default checklists as a starting or a jumping off point. So if you guys actually go to ideas.kw.com, I know it's in there somewhere. You can search up checklists and vote up, and maybe Ted, if we can find this in ideas.kw.com for you guys to vote it up, because KW listens to the agents. And I'll be honest with you, Gary and Jason, and I'm going to assume now Carl and Chris, they meet on Mondays and they actually look at the recommendations from the agents and look at the validity of them, how they can be accomplished, when they should be, and how many agents are demanding something. And that makes it to the development schedule. So don't ever assume that, well, they'll get to that. You all have a say. So ideas.kw.com is a great place for you all to go to either A, look up an idea that you might have and see if somebody else has suggested it, vote it up for it, or provide your own suggestions, okay, that may be enhanceable to the system. And one of those, and I am passionate about this, should be default checklist for everybody because it's a little time intensive to build these things. And actually what I recommended, remember yesterday we talked about smart plan libraries? I think there should be a checklist library where you could actually go in and choose the checklist of your choice and bring it into your opportunity. Right. So I'm not just a good looking face. I have some ideas. Okay. Don't crash, Sam. All right. So thoughts on where we're at right now? Lost or understanding or comprehension. What do you guys think?
Speaking for myself, I think, excuse me, I think this is good. And I snuck over to Facebook and the checklist there is awesome. So thank you.
Well, like I said, I just stole it. I just ripped it off from somebody else. So I can't take credit. I'll give credit where credit's due. That's been floating around a little while. I think I made a couple of changes to it. And actually on there too is also a tag list. So if you were struggling with tags, there's a list of tags in there as well. On one of the tiles on the bottom, I think one of them, I do believe one of them says tags. All right, so we're good here. No questions on any of this right now?
This is Patricia. I have a quick question. I know you covered it, but I didn't quite catch it.
That's
How
fine.
do you schedule appointments again with
Sure.
buyers? Buyers. It doesn't really matter. But
Well, what do you mean schedule? How do you schedule appointments with buyers?
so
You pick
like
up the
when
phone,
you're-
right?
what about when you're doing showings? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no, I was making a joke. I said you pick up the phone, you call them, right? That's how
Oh.
you schedule.
So let's say I have a showing, several showings,
Right.
and they've kept a few and they're still looking.
Right. So inside of that opportunity, so the first appointment, so that's a great question. And actually, I've never been asked that before. So when we talk about appointment in this capacity, this is the appointment to meet with them to determine if they're going to work with you prior to them signing a buyer broker agreement. Once they've signed a buyer broker agreement, they're actually active, right? Because they would be under contract with you. This appointment stage is not, I'm showing, it's I have an appointment to meet with them to win them over to be their representation.
I see.
Underneath the active stage for a buyer, and if I is where you, when you, if I have, where do I have one? If I take Lucy here and I put her under active, okay, they may be hot, or maybe one, and this is a great example. So maybe under active, here we go. See, there's a showing tile. So if they went from searching, which means they're looking online, they're looking on my website, they're looking on the mobile app, but now we're actually driving. That's showing, right? They would be in that showing phase as I'm going out and showing them properties. So there's a difference between appointment to convert them to work with you and appointments for showing property. Does that give you some clarity there, Patricia?
Yes, so but can you schedule the property that you have to show in there?
Not at this time.
Oh, that was only for listings. Okay, I understand.
No, well, no, even on listings, listings, you're just scheduling to meet with them.
Right.
Right. This is not, and nor I have to question, do we want it to be at this point? This is not integrated with showing time, right?
Okay.
So there's no plug-in to schedule a listing. Now, in the future, there may be some sort of showing dynamic tied to a calendar and invitation. Right now, you still would add those things. It might be a task. Hey, I'm going to show them on Tuesday. You still have to add that to your calendar. The calendar is not fully integrated, and there is no showing time or centralized showing integration into Command at this point. Good question. All right, so now let's actually go a little bit deeper into the details component of the opportunity. We talked about filling this in and being up to speed with all this, but we also see additional titles at the top here. There's a buyer profile toggle here. This ties back to, and we'll talk about this a little bit more on Monday, to the consumer app, the mobile app, okay? When they're using your app and you've built out what we call guides, guides are also kind of like checklists. They're a little bit more higher level than the granular stuff that we do, but it's like, have they been approved? Are they looking at properties? Are we going through appointments? Have we ratified a contract? The life of an escrow? They have these things that they'll see on their side that either you or they can check off as they progress through the transaction. It's separate than the checklist. I want to be very clear to that. We'll talk a little bit more detail under consumer on Monday, but this engagement is tracked here through the mobile application, and this will continue to evolve and enhance as they build out more components integrated with the app. Documents, okay, this is where the documents go. This is, DocuSign classes are a little bit different. This is where you would house all those ratified contracts that your market center has checklists built out for you, that your broker has signed off and approved, right? You probably see different folders, right? This is, you're getting a glimpse into what my market center looks like. So yours is going to be completely different. That's why I don't cover a whole lot of this. We have consultation, which is that buyer broker agreement or listing agreement. We have under contract docs, and then we have our closing docs. This is where they're all moved and housed after they've been signed off and ratified. And most market centers in the region are now doing this from a compliance standpoint. Okay. I will turn you back into your market centers as to how you guys are doing, because everybody's doing a little bit differently. So I shy away from that. Offers and commissions, okay, is where once you ratify a contract. Now I talk about ratified, either a listing is now ratified or a buyer has now ratified to purchase a home, not an active buyer agreement. You have to put the offer in here. You got to put the details in of the ratified offer. And actually, you can put in the details of the ratified offer or just an offer that you received or made. And I encourage you to do both, right? There's a couple different reasons. One, is anybody getting multiple offers on their listings right now? Yeah, a couple, right? What's the for those of you that have been in listings or a buyer for a while, what's the most amount of offers you've received on a property? Just wondering. 14.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6 in like 24 hours.
I had 27 in
Someone in my
48
office has 36 right now.
36. Yeah.
Holy crap.
37 is the most I've, and that was in 48 hours. Okay. And what did I have to do with all of those offers? Did I have to present them all? Yep. But how did I do that? I had to put them all in an Excel spreadsheet. right? Price, dates, terms, financing, contribution, escalations, all that information, right? I had to put in there so that I could share it with my client. In here, okay, I will tell you, a lot of agents just put in the ratified offer. Numbers are important to you. Knowing your business is important to you. It's important to your clients. If you put in multiple offers in here, okay, for all the offers you receive in your listing, and then you mark the one that was accepted, we're getting data. Your clients are getting data, like you're getting enhanced data that later, as you start to create offers, it'll look at previous transactional history around that price of that neighborhood in that area and start to give you expectations about, based on the offer you're currently writing and the current market dynamics, what your success rate of converting that transaction might be. That's more big picture, but that's why that data is important. But for your clients, this is an easy way to put in an offer, all offers, okay? Let's call this initial offer. I'm just gonna give some quick data. I will look up the property. Actually, I'm going to select from the MLS. So see, there's that select from KWLS there. I'm just going to grab one. Oh, wait. So I used this as my test case last week. So I can actually go to the MLS, which is KWS. We pull all listings. I can attach that listing to my contract. Okay. It'll pull in the cooperative agent's information in here. Some of this is necessary. I think I got everything. Okay. You guys have filled in the blanks. So I'm not gonna, then I'll put in the price. I did not, what was, all right. Say that their cash terms are going to put 50 grand down. They're going to finance 125, which makes the sales price 175. The earnest deposit, I could put a cash or a percentage in here. Okay. Option fee, we don't typically use here. Termination fee. What's the furthest out termination clause in your contract? Might be the finance addendum, right? Or if you have any, in our market, people are waiving everything, right? Depends on what that is in your contract. Seller contribution. Are we getting any of that right now? Nope. But your clients might ask for it because they often do. They know better than we know, right? They're going to ask for it anyways. Agent analysis. Pro, full price. Cons, seller contribution. Summary. You might have something better. Because essentially this is you providing information. So be conscious of what you put in here because it's going to go to your consumer, right? Save. So now I see this offer here. Now let's say I got another offer. Call that offer 2. Create. Let's just grab. Now I know I said it was a listing, but I'm just going to grab a different listing just for. No, I'm going to do the same one. All listings, because I'm saying this is the listing. 612 is what I'm saying is the listing address. Sorry, sometimes I have to talk things through in my own head. Sun, search, select, parties. Okay. Now this time I'd be buyer, seller, test 4. Ignore the bogus information. And let's say that they are making all cash offer, 175. Right, sales price, earnest deposit, 25,000. Okay, no contingent, no terms. Now I've got 2 offers here. Now if I want to send this to my client, okay. Did they turn this off? It looks like it's turned off for the moment. Nuts. All right, so this happens sometimes. Looks like they're working on something. Normally, if I go in here, there's a multiple checkbox where I can generate a spreadsheet So good. So I don't know if it's because it's my demo account or maybe it's just something that they're working on at the moment. But I could check both of these and then email all these details to my consumer. So I'm now going to have to go back because sometimes I train, they turn things on and off on me. I'm going to have to go back and see where we're at this. Okay. But you would now be able to present all this information in an Excel spreadsheet to your consumer, and they'll be able to see all the differences in these two deals. Okay. Now, let's say that they went ahead and they accepted this cash offer. So then you would mark that accepted. Okay. And then the other one would be not accepted. Right. And now once you hit accepted, this managed commission button pops up. So you would actually go in and process your, which we don't call green sheets anymore, your commissions. You don't get this commission tab unless you have an offer that's been accepted inside of this system. So you may be ratified under contract, but you have to put at a minimum an accepted offer into the platform to turn on the ability to process commissions. Okay. Now, if by chance that happens to fall out, right, and you had to accept another offer, you can remove the offer, okay, and put in a new commission for the next acceptable offer for this particular transaction. They'll go into a little bit more detail with you probably around compliance and DocuSign training in your market center, but I think this is important to know that in order to get paid, these are the steps that have to happen. Got to have a contact. The contact have to have an opportunity. That opportunity has to have an offer. That offer has to be accepted, and then you can turn on and process commissions. And typically, I'm going to guess in your market center, all those documents has to be turned in and accepted because they're marked required by your broker and approved before you will receive your paycheck. Been in the business a while. That's how it works, right? You got to be up to speed on your paperwork. I watch agents get upset all the time about not getting paid and they don't have their paperwork in, and I don't understand that because I made best friends with my NCAs and I made sure, been doing this for 2 years, that all my paperwork was in. Cross my dot, cross my T's, and I was best buds with the brokers and the NCAs. That's just me. Anyway, we are right at the buzzer, but I will, as I always do, hang on for questions and see if we missed anything or provide additional clarity that you guys might need around opportunities.
Well, that was awesome. Very helpful.
Well, thank you. So you guys are all good? You learned everything? You're all masters? Who's ready to teach us next week?
Not me. I think I'm going to attend another session. It was a lot.
Look, there's no doubt there is a lot, right? I do not expect that you learned all this today.
Yeah.
The only way to become successful at doing this is, one, to do it often. As you're converting, it looks like you've got Drew. So I know Drew's holding you accountable down there to putting things in the right way and tracking your numbers. So those that are working into your business and building your business, those are your friends, right? If not, then you've got your market center tech trainers. You've got your team leaders. Take a little bit of time each day to work in your business. If you're proactive about the platform, it gets easy. If you're reactive and in a panic, it's where you're going to struggle, right? Because you just haven't mastered it. Watch, come to the classes again. These repeat every 2 weeks. Live classes every 2 weeks, same day, right? Today, every Thursday, every 2 weeks, we go over opportunities. These sessions are recorded and they're all on the YouTube channel. So they're always there for you to go back and rewatch. My sessions are pretty static, but I add new information all the time as it comes along, or I just feel like telling a different story.
So David, question about the offer summary that goes to the client. Is there an opportunity to edit that spreadsheet or to format it?
Yeah, you have to go back and edit the details that you originally populated. The spreadsheet doesn't open up live in Excel. It's framed in and it looks like Excel, but you actually have to change the details themselves and then regenerate. Okay. You would end up regenerating the sheet.
All right. And if you had a client that had I'll say a unique interest or stipulation, could that be added somehow?
You put that into your pros and cons or summary notes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no ability to add additional fields, but that's where the pros, cons, and summary comes into play. additional considerations, right? Now, here's the thing. I referenced talking about listings here. And people get that. They correlate. Okay, I get multiple offers. I should track them all. People understand that. I think there's a, lack of a better term, lost opportunity here for you all to educate yourselves and your buyers. Is anybody writing multiple offers for buyers right now because you can't get deals done? Right? And sometimes that's just a fact of life and it's hard. Other times because they don't take your information, right? So if you track your buyers' offers too, it's an awakening for them. If they keep asking for ridiculous terms or sellers' contributions or not escalating their fees or asking for prolonged escrows or they're not putting any money down or whatever it is, you track all their offers. Then you can have a coming to Jesus meeting with them, right?
Yeah.
And show them, hey, here's our last 5 deals we wrote that we didn't get done. Okay. And you write the pros and cons in there for them, right? And you have a real honest conversation with them. And then you show them what it took to get those deals done.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people miss that aspect that, yes, this applies greatly for listings, but you can really leverage it for your buyers too, as you track those offers. Most agents just write the offers and forget them. I think you put them in their buyers' offers that never got accepted for that contract.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a little more time consuming, but I think you'll see the value in the long run for you and for your buyers. A couple other things I do want to highlight. Opportunities are a one-to-one relationship. If you write multiple offers, they all house under that single opportunity. Okay. You don't have another opportunity for every offer. You have a different opportunity for every transaction though. So if you're representing a seller, that's a listing opportunity. If that same seller is going to buy something, that is a separate purchase buyer opportunity. They don't both happen under the same opportunity. So opportunities are transaction based. And if you have an investor who buys multiple properties, each of those purchases is a separate opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes people get confused over, I've seen agents literally go back and write multiple offers and they've created an opportunity for every single offer. And I hate to be the one to break it to them that they just didn't need to do that.
So when you say the checklists are, I think I misunderstood. We have to, I understand we have to build our own, but do we have to build a brand new one per, or can we build one and like apply it to which ones we want?
You build that master checklist under each stage, under each phase, and then it is there for all opportunities.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, like I said, though, but once you open them up in Charlie Brown's opportunities case, you can add a checklist item that applies only to that opportunity.
Cool.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yes.
David, I have a question.
All right, bring it.
I referred a buyer in Boca Raton, Florida, and now they're under contract. How do I add that buyer in Command?
Good question. Right now, they don't show up on this checklist. And there actually is, and I'll refer you back to ideas.kw.com, a recommendation that one of these lines applies to referrals.
Okay.
Now, next Thursday, I will go over the referral section inside of campaigns, which you will see right here, where you can track that opportunities inside the referrals platform, the database. And it's actually a really great class. And I think it's one of the most underused things inside of Command. But when you generate a referral, you'll see things on the back end, but you won't see it here on the display. But I do think that is something that they will do. And I recommend that you go to ideas.com and vote that up.
Super. Thanks a lot.
But next Thursday, we will cover that for sure.
I'll be on.
All right. All right. So any other questions? 11:05. I'm going to let you all go unless there's any other burning questions that you need today. Otherwise, I will see you on Monday. And Monday, we will get into the consumer, which is websites and mobile applications.
All right.
All right, everybody. You have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good
Great.
weekend.
Thank you, David. Take
Thanks,
care.
Dave.